What up, my friends? Welcome back to my channel. Today we have a very helpful video. Well, I hope it's helpful. It's definitely helpful to me. We're doing a freezer meal video. In this video, I'm gonna share 5 freezer-friendly recipes that your family will absolutely love. I appreciate you guys for giving me a reason to even make this video because I think this is the perfect time of year for all of us to get our freezers stocked with meals that are easy because of the upcoming holiday season. I don't know about you guys, but as we progress towards the end of the year, it seems like my schedule gets more and more packed. So knowing that I have these freezer meals waiting for me on those days when I really don't have a lot of time in the kitchen makes all of the difference, and I hope it helps you too. So let me share with you the 5 different recipes we're gonna be making together that'll help you save some time and money. So first we have John's absolute favorite dish of mine. If you asked him what he would want me to make him for the rest of time, it would be chili. So we're making a chili. Then we're gonna be making some chicken fajitas. We're also gonna be making Mississippi meatballs, which is a family favorite over here. We love to make those. We're gonna be making some stuffed shells. And the last one, which I'm probably the most excited about, we're making Big Mac burger boats on sweet potatoes. If you're new here, hi, how are you? How's the family? Thank you so much for clicking on that thumbnail and giving me a chance. Over here, I do a lot of food videos, whether it's I'm sharing grocery hauls, Costco hauls, Sam's Club hauls, or videos like this where I share some recipes that'll hopefully inspire you in your meal planning. If you end up enjoying the vibe while you're here, I would love it if you check out the other content just like it and be sure to subscribe before you leave. Without further ado, we're gonna take a hop back in time and Kate from the kitchen is gonna join you and we're gonna go over a little bit more with the freezer meals. Hi guys, we're in the kitchen tonight because we are going to be making 5 freezer meals in this video. I'm gonna split it up for myself, so I'm doing 3 tonight, and these are more like the dump and go style. One of them has an ingredient that I have to cook first, but for the most part, it's pretty much dump and go. Tomorrow, I'm gonna be making the other 2 for myself. Those ones are a little bit more involved. 3 of them are the style that you can store in a ziplock and can all be cooked in a crock pot after, or you could cook it in the Instant Pot or on the stove or probably even in the oven. The other 2 are gonna be casserole style where they'll be made in like a foil pan and can be cooked right in the oven when you're ready. So I just kind of wanted to show you guys my setup for how when I'm doing freezer meals, I just maximize getting them done as quickly as possible. I have one of my recipes on my iPad over here because I forgot to print it for myself. Otherwise, I usually just print them out. And then what I do is I kind of go around and collect ingredients, as you can see here. What's cool about these 3 is there are some overlapping ingredients. So it makes it easy because I can just dice up a bunch of peppers, dice up a bunch of onion, and then just use a little bit per recipe. So the 3 recipes we're making tonight is gonna be a chili, we're gonna be doing Mississippi meatballs, and we're gonna be doing chicken fajitas. And for the chicken fajitas, I know that's a super popular freezer meal, and you guys know I usually try to do very creative recipes, but I will say there are a couple ingredients in there that I do not see in other chicken fajita recipes, so I think it's worth your time. So we're gonna get started with browning the ground beef first, because that can be cooking on the stove while I move on to dicing up the onions and peppers that we'll need for the recipes. Okay friends, kicking off this freezer meal prep party by getting the ground beef going as I mentioned, and then I move on to dicing up some onion and bell pepper for myself. I had to slice some of them and then I had to dice some of them. I used a knife and then I used my favorite little vegetable chopper to make quick work of dicing everything that needed to be diced. Then I moved on to the easiest dish first, which isn't my usual strategy. I usually go hardest first, but today I felt like doing a little different. So I started off with the Mississippi meatballs. All recipes for these will be included in the description box, as well as links to my favorite tools to take on freezer meal prep like this. Once I finished up those meatballs, which were pretty much just dump and go, I moved on to the chicken fajitas. I started by zesting and slicing my lime so it would be ready to go in the party bag. I then sliced up my chicken, and I was thinking back, and I was thinking it would be even faster if I had used my kitchen shears. So if you're going to recreate this and you have kitchen shears, that might make it even faster. I ended up seasoning the chicken breast right on the cutting board and tossed it up real nice to just make sure every piece got treated fairly with that yummy seasoning. Just use whatever fajita or taco seasoning you love. I'm using a new one we recently found called chili cheese from Kinder's that we have absolutely been loving. After that, it's a matter of just dumping it all in the bag. I add salsa and honey to my fajita mixes, which I don't think a lot of people do. I used a sweet onion salsa I recently found at Target. I've used mango salsa in the past, but really any salsa will do just great. Once it's all dumped in, you can store it right with a bag of tortillas, or the night you make it, just pull and cook some tortillas or rice for yourself. This recipe is great in a crock pot, Instant Pot, or you can even do it as a sheet pan meal. Next up, we have John's favorite, the chili. As I stated, I browned up the ground beef first, which is good because I let it cool after cooking, so I wasn't tossing like scalding hot meat into this freezer bag. I like to mix up the liquid ingredients first in a cup, but it's probably not necessary. I just like knowing that it's well incorporated. You could probably just dump and go. This is another one that's great to cook in the crock pot, Instant Pot, or on the stove. It also has a couple ingredients I don't see a lot of people using, like the brown sugar and the corn, and as a reminder, all of the recipes will be down below for you. You can serve this one over rice, or just another cool idea, have a baked potato bar with all of the fixings and serve this chili alongside it. Now that we've gotten going on some of the recipes, I wanted to just dive in here with a few different tips when it comes to freezer meals. That way I can share some strategies with you on how I make this as quick and painless as possible. I know that making freezer meals can seem daunting, and I've done it a million times before, but when I know that I'm about to do it, I still have that like little bit of dread in the back of my head. And then when I go to do it, I'm like, Kate, it really wasn't even that bad. And the peace of mind that you get from knowing that you now have, in this situation, 5 meals waiting on me for those nights when I really don't want to think about what to make for dinner. So here's some awesome freezer meal tips that I have to share with you. So my number one thing, not even just with freezer meals, but with cooking in general, is always to take the time to just pull your ingredients out. Even if you have to kind of do it in stages, what I generally do is if I know that I'm going to be doing a big batch of cooking, I will pull out all of my recipes, and then I will pull out all of the shelf-stable ingredients that I can. Just leave anything that I need to in the fridge or freezer to pull out last minute, but at least getting out that first layer of ingredients that were shelf-stable and setting them off to the side makes such a difference. Make sure to get all of your produce that you're going to use. So if you're doing something like I am, where there's 5 recipes going down, there's probably going to be a good amount of produce. So just take the time. It usually only takes a few minutes to wash up all of your produce at the same time. I know this is going to seem silly, but when you do pull those shelf-stable ingredients before you're about to cook, take the time to open up your cans, take off the wrapper, rinse any beans, anything like that. And I also like to have a little trash bowl on my counter. That way, as I'm unwrapping things, dicing things, all of that, so I have one place to get rid of the discarded items. That way I'm not walking back and forth to the trash. The idea is to be as efficient as possible. So if you can stay in one area to accomplish getting all of it done, it truly does make a huge difference. I know it sounds so silly. The other thing I like to do is make sure that I have recipes that have some overlapping ingredients. It doesn't always mean that they're going to be the same flavor profile. Most of the recipes in this video called for onion, bell pepper, and garlic. So what I was able to do is, before I got started on anything, just take the time to mince a bunch of garlic, take the time to chop up a bunch of onions and a bunch of bell peppers. The recipes ask for it in different ways, so you'll see me slicing some, dicing some, but the idea is I only had to take out my cutting board, my knife, and I have a vegetable chopper one time, get it all done, and then I'm good to go. And it helps with everything else just go a little bit more seamlessly. For me personally, when I'm planning out the recipes, what I like to do, I like to make sure I have a variety of ones that do need to to be cooked and ones that are already fully cooked. And if you don't have the time, energy, or you just simply don't want to take the time to batch 5 freezer meals, I completely get it. Another great way for you to stock up that freezer ahead of our upcoming busy holiday schedule is you can just take the time to double up the dinners that you're going to be making for your family this coming week. So let's say you have a family favorite like lasagna, and this week you're going to be making lasagna. Just double up the ingredients, double up the recipe, stick one in the oven for dinner that night and stick the other one out in the freezer, and your future self is going to love you for it. All right, so I hope these freezer meal strategies helped you out a little bit. I am by no means claiming the title of freezer meal champion or anything. So if you guys have been doing freezer meals for years and years and years and you have some strategies to share, please leave it down below because I and everybody else will benefit from it. All right, let's hop back into those recipes. Diving back into the final recipes, these are the ones that require a couple more steps. First, we have some stuffed shells. I had run out of minced garlic, so I took some time to prep more for myself. What I do is buy a $10 bag of peeled organic garlic at Costco. I just chop off the ends, which I don't even know if is necessary, and then use this magic cordless food processor. John got me a couple Christmases ago to make quick work of this. I keep the garlic and a little oil in a container for myself to use throughout the week. I also love putting it in silicone ice cube trays and sticking it in the freezer to minimize food waste. After the garlic was prepped, I got the shells going in the hot tub. I'm just gonna stop right here and tell you guys, I do not recommend the Good and Gather shells at all. That you can find at Target. It was my first time using that brand for shells, and I will never again. Every single shell was ruined, and I cooked it al dente per the instructions, maybe even a little bit under because I knew it was gonna sit in the freezer and then cook. So I don't know why the shells ended up shredding the way that they did. Anyways, after the shells got started, I moved into the ricotta and cottage cheese filling. Reminder again, just in case you missed it, recipe for all of this will be included below with the exact measurements. I then cooked up the Italian sausage for myself, added some jarred marinara and kale plus seasonings to jazz up that store-bought sauce. Once all the components were done, it's just a matter of attempting assembly. I had to make it work since the shells were so raggedy, but the taste is what matters here. And as you can see, it all gets covered with that delicious sauce and cheese, so it's just fine, everything's fine, we're doing great, blessed. I make sure to foil these up real tightly, label with the name and instructions as needed. It's also a good idea to date these, but these were getting gifted to a friend, so I didn't need to date it for our storage. Last up, we have some fun Big Mac burger boats. I use sweet potatoes for this, but you could also use some russet potatoes. I got the sweet potatoes started by lightly oiling and salting them. Then I took out some of the day's frustration with a fork to make sure they don't burst. Into the tanning bed they went for 45 minutes at 400 degrees. While those were going, I diced up some pickles for myself and saved a little bit of the pickle juice. Then I hopped over to the stove to brown up some ground turkey and combine everything for the filling. In this step, you want to make sure to use only half of the cheese because the other half will get used for topping later. I use the Kinder's burger sauce in here because, as you guys remember, I have a sauce graveyard in the fridge that needed my attention. You can just use mustard or even honey mustard in its place, and that's what will be called for in the recipe. Once the sweet potatoes were done, I let them cool a little bit, sliced them lengthwise, fluffed them up a little bit with a fork, and then tossed that filling right on top. I topped that with the cheese we saved for ourselves, minus a couple sprinkles as tax, for the chef's snacking, of course, and then wrapped it all up nice and tight with the foil and labeled it. I have a feeling the next time we do an anti-haul video, I'll be finishing these guys off on camera and reporting back on how great they were. I taste tested the filling, and I honestly think this is going to be a staple on our menu going forward. Okay, friends, we have all 5 of our freezer meals done. So we have stuffed shell baked dish over here. We have the Big Mac sweet potato boats, I'm gonna call them. And then we have some Mississippi meatballs, some chili, and some chicken fajitas. These will all be waiting for us in the freezer so we can consume them and love them. So all 5 of these, I've either made them or I was taste testing as we went. So these 4 I've made before. Mississippi meatballs and chili are like our favorites over here. Chicken fajitas, I usually do it in the crock pot and we absolutely love it. I love the idea that I'm gonna have it in the freezer for myself. Stuffed shells, labor of love, but we love it every single time. And then these, we've never made these before, but I was taste testing as I went, and these are gonna be a new favorite, I can already tell. So 5 delicious, nutritious, budget-friendly freezer meals to add to your menu. All right, you guys, thank you so much for spending a little bit of your day with me. It means the absolute world to me. I hope these recipes brought you a little bit of inspiration, and I hope you take something away with the tips that I shared. If you ended up enjoying this video, I would love it if you'd consider subscribing before you go, and feel free to check out the rest of my channel if you found some inspiration in the recipes, because I'm constantly trying to share creative recipes to make your life a little bit easier. I hope I delivered whatever you needed when you clicked on that thumbnail, and I hope you have a magical day. Bye.